joining us right now. Always a pleasure to visit with our next guest, candidate for the Republican primary in Texas 13. It's Dr. Ronny Jackson back here on the Chad Hasty Show. Dr. Jackson, good morning. How are you today?
Morning, Chad. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How was? Did you and your opponent have a debate yesterday, or was that the day before?
That was the day before.
How did that go?
Well, I won that thing handily. So,
yeah.
It went well. Yeah.
Well, what was kind of exposed in that debate as far as you're concerned about your opponent?
Well, I think the main thing that was exposed is the stark difference between he and I, and the real choice that voters in this district have between a leader or a lobbyist. Every question he answered it like a lobbyist. And this is compounded by the fact that he's just proven on a day-to-day basis that he's of the swamp for the swamp. He has nothing to offer this district. He has nothing to talk about that he can do for the district, and he's focused all of his efforts for the last 2 weeks on doing nothing but just recycling garbage, lies, and trying to tear down my campaign. And that's his whole strategy right now, is to tear me down. He cannot and will not tell the voters what he can do for them.
Well, you've been endorsed by President Trump, and I think that's if you're aiming for an endorsement, that's a pretty big one to get. That's probably the biggest one that you can get. What has that done for you and for people who, maybe, because I know it was a crowded primary in the Texas 13th congressional district, and what has that done for your campaign in this runoff? Which, let's be honest, with everything else that's been going on in the world, up until maybe recently, for a couple of months there, no one was paying attention to anything in runoff races.
I think it's been huge. I think that this is Trump country up here. Everybody loves the president. They respect what he's trying to do for our country, and they back him. And just folks knowing that Trump's endorsed me, that Trump's asked the voters in the 13th congressional district to please get out and vote for Ronny Jackson because he needs me in Congress. I mean, he's got enough rhinos and never Trumpers up there. He doesn't need somebody like my opponent who's going to be just like that. And the president knows that. And I'm hoping that, the voters understand that I'm going to be there, working with the president to keep Texas red, keep America great, all those things. And my opponent, he's going to be part of the problem. And I think that's been a big boon for me in that regard.
I want to ask you about something that I guess was brought up in the debate, and this was reported in the Times Record News. And your opponent accused you of having Chinese ties.
Oh my gosh!
What,
yeah.
What was he talking about? Like neckties, or what was he talking about there?
I have no idea. It's crazy. I mean, just when you think it can't get any weirder and he can't come up with any more like just unbelievable garbage, you put something like that out. I mean, when I got into this race, I'm living on my Navy retirement right now. I don't have an income at all, and I don't work for anybody. I don't have any other source of income, just my Navy retirement. When I first got out of the Navy, I had a few consulting things I did for some medical intelligence companies, that go out, they work with the government and all. I worked with them a little bit. I did some stuff with a company that produced a hand sanitizer, and I did something with the company that owns Lansdowne Resort in Virginia on the Potomac River, which is a big hotel, golf course resort, and they're trying to put something together where they have a medical resort, and they want to combine Eastern and Western medicine, and they want people to get their physical, their concierge, and they brought me on board because that's what I've done for the last 14 years is executive medicine and concierge medicine, and other folks, former President Bush's former doctor, Cheney's former doctor, some other former White House physicians are all involved in this too, and I did some consulting for them, just one-time consulting stuff, and somehow or another this guy is trying to spin this, my opponent, as some kind of tie to China. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely positively ridiculous. He got the information from my financial disclosure that I submitted as a candidate in this race, and he's just desperate. I mean, I've been telling people that desperation will reveal someone's character every time, and that's what's happening right here. This guy and his flawed character is being revealed in the negative garbage that he's putting out there, the lies that he's pushing, and quite honestly, he is not fit to be a congressman at this point. I mean, I'm convinced that, I've changed my mind about this guy so much in the last few weeks about his character. He is unfit for office.
Visiting with Dr. Ronny Jackson, a Republican candidate in the 13th Congressional District, a race that has really heated up lately. We've seen all these pictures and images and videos of these statues being torn down across the country. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm done with it. This is the far left, the socialist, the communist, the radical left, the liberal press in this country trying to rewrite history, and we just can't allow that. This is not about protest anymore. This is about an anarchy and an uprising of folks that truly are communist and socialist. And we've got to stop it. We're going to lose our country if we don't step up to the plate and say no. And so I think it's a horrible thing. I think that we have to figure out a way to stop this. I wish we had governors and mayors in these blue states that had better leadership and that had more guts to do the right thing. But it's a horrible thing.
Democrats in Congress are pushing for mail-in voting, mail-in balloting. A lot of Republicans have come out against that. Where do you come down on that? Is there any difference between you and your opponent on that issue?
Yeah, I think that mail-in ballots are ripe with fraud. I think it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible concept. It's a concept of the left. They want to get it out there. They know that they can manipulate the vote, and they can take these ballots. They can harvest them. They can fill them out for other people. They can get them in. And, we'll never be confident if this happens on whether or not the people elected the representatives and the elected officials that we have. So mail-in ballots, bad idea. My opponent's been pushing it. He sent out mailers to everybody telling them, hey, if you're worried about the coronavirus, send in requests for a mail-in ballot. And, the governor and the attorney general and the lieutenant governor have all said that you can't, that we're not going to do that in Texas, but he's put that out there anyway. So he's spinning the coronavirus, trying to work it to his advantage, just like the liberals are right now. They're using this virus to try to make a case for mail-in ballots so that they can manipulate the vote.
I want to ask you, you're a physician. You and I have talked about, coronavirus here on the program. Obviously, there's some hot spots now as states begin to reopen, which wasn't that always going to happen? When people come out of their homes and they start going places, there was going to be a rise in numbers. Do you think we've done anything wrong? Do you think that we're on the wrong track right now? What needs to be done, if anything, to change the trajectory?
Now, Chad, I think that this is being manipulated for political reasons right now, especially here in Texas. We're about to have the Texas Republican Convention in Houston, and suddenly Houston's a hot spot. Now, there are people testing positive. That's because we're out there aggressively testing. But if you look at the numbers of deaths are not going up. They're continuing to go down despite the fact that the numbers of positive tests are going up because we're testing more. That just means that mortality rate's getting smaller and smaller every day. And they just released, the CDC just released their impression based on some of the antibody testing that they've been doing, that their estimate is that for every single positive test in the country right now, there are 10 other people that have already had it that didn't know they had it. So that means that this virus has been all over the place. It has been. It's very infectious. It's spread all over the place. But it also means that the vast majority of the people that got it never even knew they had it, and the mortality rate is extremely low. But the Democrats right now are using the positive tests, the number of positive tests, which are going up because we're testing more, to try to scare people into thinking that this virus is coming back and we're going to have to shut our economy down and we're going to have to go for mail-in ballots and all this other stuff that they're pushing right now. And so I think it's just most of it's being driven by political interest right now, and it's just a shame that that's happening.
Early voting starts on Monday. Give that. Well, I'm sure we'll have you on before Election Day, but before early voting starts, give that final pitch out there to the voters.
All right, I'll just tell you, I'm out there keeping it positive. I'm telling the voters what I can do for the voters. I've not put out one negative ad, not one. I'm staying positive. My opponent is going totally negative. I'll tell you the reason is because I can do things for this district that he can't do. I've got influence. I've worked side by side every day for the last 3 years with the President of the United States. He has trust and confidence in me. I know him. I have a great relationship with him. I know all of his cabinet members, whether it's agriculture, commerce, energy, defense, or the VA, everybody in the West Wing, friends of mine, and I will be the only fresh freshman congressman in the country this year that can walk into the Oval Office unannounced and tell the President of the United States, sir, I got something I got to make you aware of, and he will stop what he's doing and listen to me. I make the voters out there two promises. Number one, you elect me, I promise I will make you proud. Number two, I promise that everyone in this country will know who the representative from the 13th Congressional District is, because I'm going to be a loud, proud voice for the state of Texas, for the 13th Congressional District, and for my constituents. So if you can, get out and vote. Vote for Ronny Jackson. Take somebody with you. Like you said, early voting starts on 29 June, runs till 10 July, and Election Day is on 14 July.
All right, we'll talk again before Election Day. We wish you the best of luck, and we always appreciate visiting with you here on the show.
Thanks, Chad. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Dr. Ronny Jackson here on the Chad Hasty Show, a Republican candidate in that 13th Congressional District. That race has been heated the last couple of weeks. That is for sure.